Hey, welcome to a new Tuts Plus quick tip. I'm Adi, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create better focus styles with a pseudo class called Focus Visible. Or in plain English, I'm going to show you how to get rid of this awful blue outline the right way. That's right, there is a right way and a wrong way. So obviously, let's start with the wrong way. But before we do that, I want to quickly remind you that there's a cool website out there called Envato Elements. You should check it out. With one subscription, you'll have unlimited access to assets like fonts, mockups, CMS templates, and more. There are millions of digital assets to choose from. They have simple commercial licensing, and you can cancel anytime. Subscribe now using the link in the video description. All right, let's go. For today's demo, we are in CodePen, where I have a simple card with a form inside, or actually with a couple of form inputs inside. Each one has a label, and you can see that whenever we're focusing that input, we have this blue outline that just came out of nowhere. I mean, there is no blue in my CSS. What's up with this? Well, the thing is, this outline is applied by default by your user agent, aka the browser. And that's actually an accessibility feature because it allows for people with disabilities, with people that use screen readers, for example, to browse your website, to see which item has focus. That's very helpful. Now, most of the time, when you're styling your form, you added your nice style to the labels, and then when you focus your form, horror. You see this blue outline, and being the industrious little developer that you are, you go into your CSS and you say, okay, outline, you shall be gone. You say focus, outline, none. That means that every focus style out there has that outline stripped away. So then you go back to your website, you click, you tab around, and that is now gone. So job done, you can go home. All is well in the world. But you know what? It's not actually okay, because that was an important accessibility feature that you just removed. And you just made it a lot harder for people that use screen readers to navigate your website, because they don't have that visual indicator telling them that, hey, this element has focus, right? This link, this input, this button, whatever it is, because you just removed that to make your form look better. So that's the wrong way, okay? Just removing the outline like that is the wrong way of doing things. And yes, I've done it myself in the past, I admit. But as we grow older, we learn new stuff, and we learn why it's bad to do certain things, like removing the outline on focus elements. So now that I know this, I also want you to know this, so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Cool? Cool. So let's see what the right way is of dealing with this situation. All right, so let me start by showing you the official definition from MDN. So it says here that the Focus Visible Pseudo-Class applies while an element matches the focus pseudo-class. So it applies when an element is focused, and the user agent, aka the browser, determines that the focus should be made evident on that element. And many browsers show a focus ring by default in this case. A focus ring is basically this blue outline, okay? It also says here that this selector is useful to provide a different focus indicator based on the user's input modality, mouse versus keyboard. So, in other words, with Focus Visible, you can differentiate between the user input. If you focus an element via the keyboard, so when you're tabbing through elements, you can apply a different focus style. When you're focusing an element using a mouse, for example, you can apply a different focus style. See? So that means that you can, for example, when you're using the mouse, you can get rid of that outline completely because the browser will automatically reapply that focus ring when you're tabbing by keyboard. So by doing that, users that use assistive technologies like screen readers will still get all the accessibility benefits. But for the rest of the users that use a mouse and you don't want that ring to show up, well, there you have it. Problem solved. So let me show you an example. So I'm going to start by defining an outline here as 3 pixel solid red. And I'm doing this as a default. This will be applied also by browsers that don't support the focus visible pseudo-class. All right, so now notice that when I'm focusing these elements, and that includes inputs and buttons, I get this red outline, regardless of how I focus them. This is with the keyboard. This is with the mouse. Now, let's do the following. Focus and not focus visible. So this means elements that are focused but do not qualify for focus visible get an outline of none. So that means that now when I click on certain elements, like for example buttons, I do not get that focus, that red focus that's there by default. But when I tab through using my keyboard, the outline is there. So that's the difference, right? With keyboard navigation, I get focus. With mouse, I don't get the focus. And I can go even further and I can say focus visible, outline, 3 pixel, solid. And I'm just going to reference a CSS variable that I defined earlier. All right, so let's see what this is doing. So now my outline is purple because I targeted focus visible, and it's going to be purple on all the elements that support focus visible. If I do keyboard navigation again, the button is also displaying that purple outline. Now, you're probably scratching your head and you don't understand what is going on. So let me try to go through it one more time. First, we defined a style for the focus state using a red outline. This style is applied by default, and it's applied in browsers that do not support focus visible. For the browsers that do support focus visible, we do the following. We set that style as a purple outline, and then for elements that do not qualify for focus visible, such as the button, we set outline to none. So that means that when I'm focusing elements with my mouse, only certain elements will display the focus ring, while others will not, like this login button. But when I'm using my keyboard, all of the elements will display the purple outline. If the browser supports it, of course. If it doesn't, it's going to display the red outline. Now, you might be wondering why it still displays on inputs when I click on them. That's because on inputs, it's always on, regardless of the focus method. There are actually some well-defined rules, and they go something like this. I just opened up the focus visible pseudo-class page on the CSS spec, so I can show you the rules. So in example 39 here, it actually tells us that if the element which supports keyboard input, such as an input element, aka these two, or any other element that would trigger a virtual keyboard to be shown on focus. So in those situations, indicate focus. That means that the focus ring will always be on the inputs. On others, like for example, if the user interacts with the page via pointing device, that being mouse, your finger on a touch screen, and the focus element does not support keyboard input, aka this button, okay, don't indicate focus. So this is still kind of new. It's not yet very well supported by browsers. If we open Can I Use, we can see that support is now limited to Edge, Firefox, and Chrome mostly. As you can see here, Internet Explorer, no chance. Safari is not yet supporting this. Older versions of Chrome, Edge, and Firefox don't support it. But it's on its way for better browser support, and I'm sure in a year or so, it's gonna look, this table is gonna look much greener than now. But for now, this is what you can do with focus visible. You can basically differentiate between keyboard input and mouse or pointer input to style elements differently. And that's it, folks. Thanks for watching this quick tip. I'm Adi, and until next time, take care.